Elder Eli. Eli was the high priest of Israel. He was authorized by God to oversee the tabernacle, guide the people in worship, and offer sacrifices according to the law of Moses. Spiritually, he held the highest authority and responsibility among the people of Israel. He was a devout man, served the Lord for many years, and was willing to guide others, as he guided the young prophet Samuel. His fatal flaw was his lack of resolve and indulgence in managing and disciplining his sons, Hophni and Phinehas. Although he did not directly commit sin like his sons, his transgression was honoring his sons more than honoring God, as he knew of their sinful behavior but did not use his authority to stop them decisively. Hophni and Phinehas, the sons of high priest Eli, both held the office of priest at the tabernacle in Shiloh. They were entrusted with the great responsibility of serving God and representing the people in offering sacrifices. Contrary to their sacred calling, they were wicked men, sons of Belial, who did not know the Lord. They exploited their position to steal portions of the sacrifices intended for the Lord and the people, despising the offerings. They committed the sin of fornication with the women who served at the entrance to the tabernacle, defiling the holy place and their office. Shiloh, the gathering place for Israel's faith and worship. This presents a sharp contrast. Sin and defilement occurred right at the holy center of the nation. Eli's failure to prioritize God's glory and holiness over his family management and official duties, management failure. The extreme negligence and sin of Hophni and Phinehas in serving God, moral failure. The sin of the priestly family brought judgment not only upon the house of Eli but also upon all of Israel, leading to the capture of the Ark of the Covenant. The sins and wrongdoings of Hophni and Phinehas. Hophni and Phinehas turned their holy priestly office into an opportunity to satisfy their personal greed and lust, leading to two groups of serious sins that directly offended the holiness of the Lord and his place of worship. The sin of fornication, sexual immorality. They had sexual relations with the women who served at the entrance of the tabernacle. This occurred right in the holy precinct, a place reserved for purification rites and worship. This action directly violated God's commandments related to cleanliness and sexual morality. The commandment, "You shall not commit adultery." Committing sexual sin at the threshold of the tabernacle was a serious offense against the absolute holiness of the place of God's worship. Their actions brought disgrace to the priestly office and set a terrible example for the people, turning the place of prayer into a place of debauchery. Theft and despising the holy. This behavior demonstrated material greed and a direct contempt for the sacrificial regulations established by God through Moses, Leviticus. According to the law of Moses, the fat of the sacrificial animal, often considered the best part, had to be burned on the altar as an offering to the Lord first, after which the priest could receive his allotted portion of the meat. Hophni and Phinehas used a three-pronged fork, commonly used in the kitchen, to seize the best part of the meat for themselves before offering the fat to the Lord. They also demanded that the offerer give them raw, fresh meat, uncooked, for them to prepare themselves, instead of accepting the cooked meat as prescribed. This greed escalated into spiritual sin. The sin of the young men was very great in the sight of the Lord, for they were treating the Lord's offering with contempt. When the people saw the priests, God's representatives, despising the offerings, they also began to treat the worship rituals with contempt. This destroyed the relationship between the people of Israel and God, weakening the spiritual foundation of the nation. These two groups of actions prove that Hophni and Phinehas were not merely sinners, but also abusers of sacred authority for personal gain, turning the tabernacle into a place full of filth and corruption. This was the direct cause leading to God's intervention and severe judgment upon the house of Eli. The reaction of high priest Eli, knowing but not decisively stopping the sin. Eli had heard about his son's sins, both fornication and stealing from the sacrifices. He only offered mild rebukes, for example, "Why do you do such things? I hear wicked reports about you from all the people," but failed to use his power and responsibility as a father and high priest to effectively discipline, dismiss, or stop them. He was judged by the Lord because he honored his sons more than me, God, and did not use his authority to stop the wickedness occurring in the house of the Lord. The prophecy, delivered through a man of God and later by Samuel, regarding Hophni and Phinehas, both would die on the same day. Regarding the house of Eli, they would lose favor in the priestly office. The family would face distress, and no one would reach old age. The priesthood would be transferred to another faithful line. The fulfillment and collapse, the battle with the Philistines, Israel was defeated. The two sons die. Hophni and Phinehas died together in battle. The Ark of the Covenant was captured. This was the peak of spiritual humiliation for Israel and the house of Eli. When he heard the news that the Ark of the Covenant was captured and his two sons were killed, Eli fell backward and died from a broken neck. He was 98 years old and heavy. Phinehas' wife gave birth to a son, naming him Ichabod, meaning, "The glory has departed from Israel," marking the complete collapse. Eli's sin was placing his love and indulgence for his children, even though they were priests, above the glory and holiness of God and the sacred office. Pleasing God, maintaining the holiness of God's word, and upholding the ministry must be the top priority, even when it demands firm discipline of loved ones. Eli's negligence in office included his indifference in training and disciplining his children so they would be worthy of the priesthood. The failure of Eli's family became a national tragedy, showing that the responsibility of family management by a spiritual leader profoundly impacts the entire community. Effective or holy service to God is impossible if one's personal life, family, and office are defiled by compromise and sin. The consequence of sin, the sins of the individuals, Hophni, Phinehas, and the indulgence, Eli, led to the downfall of a lineage and brought harm to God's glory among the people of Israel. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on new content.